It was just like a lot of things, and it just didn't settle on one. The graphics in this movie were also terrible. When this movie came out, I believe that it should have had better graphics. I think High School Theater could have done a similar performance. I know that this movie's called The Wailing, but there is so much screaming, and at some point it just doesn't even seem needed. And it's not meaningful at all. Not only that, but the ending was bad, and a lot of people on at least Letterboxd have said that this is a good horror, and it was thrilling, and it was definitely not any of those things. If anything, it was annoying. I gave this a 2 out of 5. I would not recommend this movie, and I would not rewatch this at all. The next movie I watched was The Night House, and this was about a girl who, her boyfriend just died, or her fiance, and some weird stuff starts happening, and she slowly finds out about his death. This stars Rebecca Hall, and she might be the only notable character, or actor, I mean. An hour into this movie, we still had no idea what was going on. This was filmed all in one scene at their lake house or house. I don't know what it is. For what we got, it felt very long. It felt like it was giving a lot of nothing, and if it had given something meaningful, the time would have made sense. This movie was not at all scary, and I feel like important detail was skimmed over, and then we arrived at the reveal as to what happened with the fiance. That being said, I rated it a 2.5 out of 5, which probably is generous, but I wouldn't watch it again, and I wouldn't recommend you this. The next movie I watched is Infinity Pool, and this stars Alexander Skarsgård and Mia Goth, and I don't know if anyone else is recognizable, but this was about a couple who went out of the country, I'm not sure where, to like a resort, and they run into another couple who takes them off of the resort, which you're not supposed to do, and that couple basically got the original couple in trouble. And the way crime in this country works is you either go to jail or you can watch yourself die, and that is a whole process in itself. So, this couple that took them off the resort, they introduced them to this method of doing, committing crimes in this country to watch themselves die as entertainment. Like, they love this thing, they eat it up, and they do a bunch of drugs. It's honestly kind of like a cult, and we see this cult just act like weirdos, and that's the entire premise. This movie was really bad. It was weird. It just wasn't good. Like, I know that's so, non-descriptive. There was just no substance here. It was giving that movie with Jared Leto. I'll put it on the screen because I cannot say that first word. The concept is good, but the way they went about it just didn't, mesh well together. There was 0 point to it all. It wasn't scary, and it wasn't a mystery. I have no idea, what we, should have taken away. I did not enjoy this movie. Obviously, I gave it a 2 out of 5. I know that I am on a roll with these 4 movies. One's a DNF, and the others are straight 2 stars. With that being said, I wouldn't recommend any of these 4 movies. I would rather you save your time. Unless you like these movies, then my bad. But if you're looking for something, and you see these, and you're thinking about it, I would say, no, don't do it. Okay, I think that is my section that I covered before I deleted that clip. I really apologize for any background noise that you might hear. I get very little time of silence. So yeah, sorry about that. Now I will continue to my past self, basically. So I have gone over 4 movies I did not like. Let's make a guess on whether or not this next movie went well for me. Ready, go. If you said no, you're correct. It did not go well. Our next movie was Cuckoo, and I gave this a okay, what does this mean? But regardless of that, I would still recommend you this. The next movie I watched was A Real Pain with Kieran Culkin and Jesse Eisenberg. This was about two cousins who went to Europe because I think that their Polish grandmother had died and they wanted to go visit Poland for her, but at the same time they're on like a group Europe tour, and Kieran is going through some stuff, and it seems like Kieran and Jesse kind of this movie,